Bitcoin, Ethereum, and let's not forget the markets. It's Monday. Let's go, Crypto Patriots. Mic check, mic check. Crypto Patriots. It's Monday. We got sound. We got life. It's a beautiful thing. This is Captain Crypto. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you had a good weekend. Bet some of you did, watching the price pump up here. Want to thank you for spending your time with us. We salute you for your most valuable asset that you are spending on us, choosing to take your time here. We appreciate all of your interest and hope you're finding the content valuable. We're here to serve you, changing lives one block at a time. Our goal is to help educate, and if it makes good sense to you, our mission is to solve for the time theft that is being taken from each of you. If you join our community, you will understand that much more as you absorb more of our content. Our first community goal is to add 100 subscribers, after which we will evaluate more community interaction with other apps and sources so we can maintain our contact more real time beyond just publishing live streams and videos. So please, if you like what you're receiving and finding value, smash the like button and subscribe. Also, if you have anything you wish to add to our stream or you want to join in the community and participate, please get in touch with me via Twitter or leave a comment. We are looking for more Crypto Patriots. If you have not seen our masterclass playlist videos, please check them out to gain solid understanding of how we trade and looking longer term on crypto and other assets. I've also posted a video in the how-to playlist, how to view YouTube videos on your television in high definition for anyone who is having blurry videos or lower definition settings. And if you are watching this stream on a computer or mobile device, there's a silver or gray cog, usually in the bottom right of the stream, where you can also adjust the settings to 1080p. Sometimes your stream might delay, so just move the time buttons forward or backwards in case you get any delay or chop in the video. You may also want to consider installing the Chrome browser, as I have found YouTube seems to cooperate the most with this particular browser. That's not advice, it's just my own conclusions. As a reminder, any material you hear from me or my channel is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as advice of any type. If you decide to act on anything you hear from me or really anyone from YouTube or other online sources, you only need to look at yourself in the mirror and pat yourself on the back if it works out, or look into yourself through the mirror if you decided to take action and it did not work out. Please consult your trusted professionals or do your own research before making any decisions that affect your personal situation, goals, risk tolerance, and time horizon. All right. Crypto Patriots, good morning. It's been a pretty fun ride so far, hasn't it? Since we went live. Call it the Captain Crypto effect. Well, we're going to talk today about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin dominance, and the S&P 500. We're going to actually do some live charting as we talk about that one. And, you know, just a reminder, in my opinion, not advice, we are in what I believe to be the third subwave of the final fifth wave. And the third subwave, it can last for a while. So don't forget, you know, as you probably will have some moments where you get scared and you want to hit that sell button, that this is most likely going to be the strongest part of the final impulse over the coming, let's say, potentially weeks, months. I don't think it'll be much beyond that. And then we'll have one more correction. It'll be probably sizable and scary. And then we'll have that final fifth wave, subwave impulse. You know, that's the playbook here at with the Crypto Patriots. And we're going to talk about that today in the charts. I'm going to go through some RSI, and hopefully you'll find the repetition. It's like working out. You know, the repetition will increase the way that everything's looking on your balance sheet. So let's jump into it, get some charts. All right, we're going full screen mode. Let me do one more mic check. Make sure I got sound here. Mic check. All right. Good to go. All right. So I know it's never fun when you see a red candle, but they are necessary from time to time. Just take this stupid countdown off. So where are we? What's going on from the weekend? Well, you can kind of see, like, you don't need to be glued to your screen right now because we're in a very obvious upwave. So rather than having to be connected here 24 hours a day, 365, just look, you did the work. You hit the go zone. That's this trend line right here. We'll call that the most important now. I mean, this is the most important line as of now. It was originally down here. And I'm about to take this off because we're probably in a confirmed uptrend. So I doubt we're going to retest this line. And there's, like I said a couple of weeks ago, this is probably the lowest you'll have ever seen Bitcoin from here on out, ever, in my opinion, not advice. And so if I take out this most important line, it's once we break here, it's price discovery. There's nothing above here. This was the all-time high back in mid-April of this year. And, we're basically in a very confirmed uptrend. So, as we go forward, let's just do a refresh real quick. This was most likely the end of cycle wave 5. Again, I know some people, they're saying, no, it's over here. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can pick your poison. The levels are basically the same. And as you know, between Elliott wave, between charting and TA, there are zillions of thoughts as to how to draw stuff. If I move this over here, it's not going to change much. So I like it here because this is the confirmed beginning of an upwave. And assuming that this is the beginning of cycle 5, and this is the repetition part, this was the first impulse. This was the second corrective subwave. And we're most likely in a third impulse. There's 3 impulses out of the 5 waves, and there's 2 corrective waves. So we've got 1 under our belt. Now you've been, a little battle tested. You went through a 25% drop if you held the line. And we're now entering that third subwave. Now, a third subwave, this is the part I keep telling people, don't get shook, because you're going to hear a lot of people saying, like, this is the end of the bull run, and it's a double top. So again, a double top means we're going to peak out right up here at like 65, and then we're going to start going down, and it's a bear winter and everything's terrible. And by the way, that could happen. I mean, anything's possible. But again, if you think about how these subwaves move in 5-wave movements, I think you'll find that, we still have a ways to go. You can go back and draw it yourself, and you'll come to that conclusion. So if you think about where we're headed, and we're going to do a deep dive on Wednesday on that. Remember, a primary impulse wave, the third wave is usually bigger than this. So this was like a month and a half. So this one should be much longer than that. It doesn't have to be, but it should be. And it usually would mean if this is an 83% move off of this, beginning, then this move that we're in now has to be bigger than that traditionally. Doesn't have to be, but it usually should be bigger than that. So if that's where this is headed, then, once we break through here, all of those people on YouTube that are saying like this is the beginning of the end of Bitcoin are going to be proven completely wrong. And I'm probably going to pick up a bunch of subscribers. I was watching a video last night. This guy had 5,500 subscribers, and he was talking about he's been wrong for like months about how Bitcoin is going down, and it's the beginning of the end and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking like, how are 5,500 people watching this, and they're just getting wrecked if they're following that guy's channel? So there's a lot of like garbage out there. So just be careful of what you consume. And that's one of the reasons I don't stream all the time, because I think it's a mistake. Like you gotta let crypto be crypto and just let it do what it does. But so once, if we're moving up from here, so far on the current move that we've had, just to give you perspective, we're looking at let's say that, well, I'll fix that in a second. Let's just say from here to here, and let me bring that down. So far we're up about 58% on this impulse. So we haven't even gone up 83% yet. And again, 83% is going to take us up to about 72,400. So if we just had a copy of the first impulse, that would take us to 72. I think we're going higher than that, but I just, I want you to see what the levels are. Now this week, I do think it's possible we get a little bit of a sideways chop or correction. But I still think maybe by the end of the week, or maybe it's next week, we'll be back to challenging 60, the all-time high. The reason I say that is if you look at from this bottom, you can make an argument like this is a mini Elliott wave. So like that's your 1, 2, this is probably all 3, this whole move that we've just had. And so now we might have like a little bit of a sideways chop, and it could be back into this 57 range. Or again, we may just keep going and this third wave isn't complete yet. It's hard to know, but you can really see like a very clear mini 5-wave building here. So, I don't know, but I think there's a decent chance that we go sideways this week. I know that there's a lot of hype around the Bitcoin ETF. It's not as big of a deal as people think it is, because it's more of like a futures type of ETF. It's not retail. So while there will be volume on it, it's really not as big of a deal as you think it is. So what are some of the other catalysts this week? Well, I think we're going to start shifting into earnings season with a lot of the corporations. And so that will probably be the next catalyst. And I think that's going to be predominantly next week. So I'm going to break the secret code because nobody replied to me on Twitter. October 27 and 28 are the earnings dates for McDonald's, Yum Brands, which is Pizza Hut, and Starbucks. So get ready, because that will probably be the next phase of liftoff. And, you heard it here first. But you'll start hearing all these people talking about it, because I know people are watching my videos because I'm seeing stuff on like some of the larger channels, and it's coming directly from here. I know it is. So no problem. I'm flattered. But I think that's going to be some big movement for Bitcoin and for the crypto markets. That probably bodes well for alts this week. If Bitcoin goes sideways, then alts should pump and catch up. And and they'll just keep playing that game until we get to the top of this run. So again, we just took off that most important line that was running, kind of through here. I don't think we're going to look back. I don't think we'll see below, 51 probably ever again. I mean, there is a chance, but I think it's low. And I think this subwave that we're in, potentially the third subwave, it's going to go for much longer. Like, this is probably just the first impulse of 5 on again, the subwave. So these are like minor waves within the more major or intermediate waves. So, just hang tight if it starts chopping sideways or goes down a little, because I don't think this is it. And again, it just doesn't make sense because we're not even up 83% off of this low yet. And that would just be like a lot of the rules around Elliott wave, they just wouldn't be very accurate if we only went up like 50 or 60%. Okay. On RSI, we've got a little bit of some trouble on the RSI. I use the highs on the RSI, so we peaked out up here. Sorry, let me turn this on. So we peaked out up here at about 81, and we've come back down. Now, this is hot, but it can get hotter, so don't necessarily worry yet. But we're definitely coming to a point on Bitcoin where we'll probably go sideways or down a little because the RSI is getting hot. Now, again, it can stay hot for a while, much longer. So like what you'll start to see is something like this, where you start seeing RSI declining, but maybe Bitcoin is still going up, and that can stay extended for like a while. But let's just assume we'll probably get up somewhere in this range, and then we may start coming back down. And it's healthy. It's letting Bitcoin reset. So, if you start seeing some sideways chop and RSI is coming back down, then don't worry too much, because it just may be resetting for the next run. And you can kind of see like here, like RSI actually peaked out in mid-August, but Bitcoin kept running until the beginning of September. So that divergence is where you see like, bullishness in the price action, but diverting lower RSI over that period of time. And then we had the correction. And this is the reset we're talking about. But I think this one will probably be more like this. It'll look kind of more sideways and just kind of bounce around until we get to that corrective subwave 4. All right, so just again reminding you of the levels. We've got your cycle 3. This is a retrace from the C wave where cycle 4 ended up to the top of cycle 3. That's the yellow colors on the chart. Hopefully they're coming in clear. And then this orange is and that includes here. That's why it's dotted here. But this orange is a fib trend extension. So we're extending wave 3 off of the beginning of wave 1 and into 2. And then this dotted white is a retrace of the subwave 2 to subwave 1, very similarly to where we had the end of 4 to 3. So that's how you get all these colors and all these numbers. And, I titled it Relentless Subwave 3 because it's not going to forgive if you get out. If you get out, in my opinion, not advice, you'll likely wish you hadn't, because, again, a subwave 3 is super strong. And it's very uncommon to see like weak sauce, if you will, on a third wave. So I still believe this is going to be the strongest part of this final impulse, again, the cycle 5 impulse that we're hopefully in. And these are some of the levels. Again, my base would suggest by the third move here, hopefully we're approaching 100K. And again, it could be higher than this. I want to keep saying that because the fifth waves generally are fast and kind of vicious to the upside, especially in commodity-like investments. So don't be shocked. Like I'm always going to err on the conservative end of the range. This is sort of in the middle of it. Again, this would be like weak, but I actually added these because I wanted you to see we've already extended off of this retracement up to the 161.8 fib, and look at how we tagged it, and then we came back down. So now we're sort of like bumping up. So like if we break through that, I would say the next move is up to the 261.8 on this retracement. And that would make total sense. Like it's very normal. And if we break that, then the next one's like up here at the 423.6. I mean, there's other fibs in between, but like those are the major levels typically off of a wave 3. And then if this is your extension, then that's somewhere between 71 and 100. So again, like 80, the mid 80s is sort of the sweet spot, and then you start getting up, into higher levels. And again, I mean, it could go all the way up to this level. I don't think it will, but it could. And so that's what you have to be ready for. Like, what kinds of things could get it up there? Well, I mean, again, if in a week McDonald's and Starbucks and Pizza Hut start saying they're holding Bitcoin, I think you're going to see some big investment start entering the space, much more than what an ETF in the futures market, in my opinion, could offer. I mean, when you start getting the Golden Arches and the Hut, and I don't know what Starbucks is like phrase is. I'm not a Starbucks drinker, but if you are, feel free to pop it in the comments. But if you start seeing that, I mean, you could have a whole army of retail investment buying those stocks, and maybe even entering crypto. Like you're just going to start seeing more and more people get into the crypto markets as they see what's going on in the media. So know your levels, but don't get shook, because if you do, you're going to miss some of the like best opportunities of this entire run. Like for those of you that have been waiting for like a year or a year and a half or even longer, like you're just getting into the sweet spot of this entire run that you've been waiting for. Again, like cue the Eminem music. You have one shot, one opportunity. Don't blow it. I mean, don't blow it. So again, base range is probably somewhere in this level. And, feel free, if you're playing the home game on TradingView, like just draw your lines and see if this all matches what you're seeing here. And if it does, figure out where you think things are going to go. Just on the monthly, just a recap, we've got a nice candle building here. This is like strong. So again, if this is the beginning, like we saw last year, we could have a couple more candles like that. And then all of a sudden, we're in like the high hundreds or even 200,000. And so don't forget, like big candles can happen quick, and they can be, there can be multiple candles in a row. And then on the RSI, so again, kind of same thing. I still think this is the most likely type of move where we get sort of like this M-like formation where we come back up, and then eventually we'll peak out, and then we'll start coming back down. I still think that's the base case scenario for RSI on Bitcoin on the monthly. So, and we've held this trend line now, and we're starting to move back up. So all that looks good. On the monthly, we're not, we're a little overbought, but not much. And remember, in the 2013 move, when we had the same type of formation, it just kind of went straight up, real quick. And then in the 2017 move, we'd go up and then we go sideways for a month and up again and sideways and down a little and so on until we peaked out. I would say anything getting into the 90 range, you really want to keep an eye. I'm talking on the monthly. Like if you start seeing RSI get into 90 or near it, you're going to want to just make sure you're not too heavily exposed up at those levels. Anywhere probably above 80, you really want to start keeping your eye on it. And then anything above 90, just be aware like you're probably near the top because the strength of the index is about as high as it can go. Again, 100 is the highest. And you can sort of see here, the highest we ever were was about 99 back in 2017. And from, let's say, August to December, that was where all the money got made, the big money. But, the relative strength was really hot. So you have to really be careful. Like you may want to take profit on your way up so that when it does turn back down, and you'll be able to see like from, let's say from July, and this is like January, but January you can see was like pretty rough. I mean, this is all basically January into February. And if you look at Bitcoin's price in that same time period, a lot of the big moves were, so like down here, the candle at the December candle of 2017, we opened up at about just under 10,000 and it went up to 20,000. So it doubled basically. And then in the following month, it went from, let's say the open was about 14,000, but it did go up a little bit during that month up to 17. So like that's your sort of, I guess your B wave, where you topped out. So like your A wave correction into your B. And so, this is like, I don't know if any of you follow Willy Woo. He's a on-chain analyst for Bitcoin. That's the Willy Woo exit. This is where he would have gotten out of Bitcoin based on what he was saying. Like he waits for Bitcoin to have that reflex rally when it starts crashing and then it rebounds really quick, and then that's where he exits typically. He said that on a few podcasts. So just understand like we're hopefully just beginning our ascent up, and then remember how the channels work, where we've got the lower end of the channel and the higher end of the channel, and then that dotted line there is the EQ, the equilibrium, the 50% level. And as you can see again, we've run up, we broke out, we've retested that level, and now we're starting to ascend out. And so again, it's normal that the way the channels work, you would go up to the top of the channel, assuming that you hold that EQ line, that 50% level. Okay, I know there's a lot of action going on this chart, so I just wanted to replay Bitcoin dominance for you. In the past, so this was the prior cycle in 2017, and we're talking about alt season because I know a lot of viewers like that's something that's really critical. So when you think about the prior cycle, this was your A, B, C corrective wave. So it's sort of backwards with altcoins. And when Bitcoin dominance is declining, then that's where altcoin seasons are occurring. So you had your first altcoin season, then you had sort of a sideways correction, and then you had the final season pretty quick. And I think something like that is going to happen. So right now, we've got the first altcoin season that we completed, I don't know, back in May. And we've just gone sideways since May. So this is like this area right here where we're just sort of waiting to see if this is just going to be a sideways type of move. And then we're going to begin the final alt season just like we had it over here. That's why I'm showing you this, because I don't want people to think like when I zoom in on this in a minute, what's going on? I don't get it. But that's the playbook. We're looking for a next move down. And I'll talk about all this side in just a minute. But don't forget, like, unfortunately, if this is the end of the Bitcoin run, then if you start seeing Bitcoin dominance rising like this, that probably means the whole bull phase is over for both Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything else, assuming that, we're going to have a correction back up like that. And that won't be so pretty. I also wanted to highlight this line right here because I'm going to zoom in a minute. I'm going to make it white for a minute just so you can see it. This is probably where I would say we would have a first test of Bitcoin dominance. And if it rolls over, that'll tell us that, hopefully we're going to start seeing alt season pick back up. And then the other level would be this one right here. So this line going across, that's your one of your fib levels from all the way back up at the top. So there is some confluence in there. So I think if you see a rejection, breakdown off of either of those levels, that would signal the beginning of the next alt season. And if you zoom in on that, so I'm going to change this color right here to white for a minute. So you can sort of see like off of, I know there's a lot of action in here, but off of this line, if we start seeing, a tag there and then it comes back down, I would say that's the end of this type of correction. And I was going to show this, let me just bring it up here because I think it might help people sort of see what's possible. If we take, oh, I already have it up. I'm sorry. If we take, I know this is going to be hard to see, but if we take something, oh, no, that's the wrong one. I apologize. I'm in wrong thing. If we do correctives. Yeah. So this could be some type of, like I was saying, like a complex correction. I mean, I don't exactly know because it's not finished, but assume it might be something like this, where up here somewhere is the correction that we're seeing. And normally you draw these A, B, C, D, E waves with triangle patterns, but they can also be drawn with what are called like flats. So flat is sort of where you have a correction that just doesn't go anywhere. It's flat, and then eventually it breaks up or down. And again, I personally think we're going to break down. This is not advice. I mean, do your own research. But this is the type of pattern that I think we could be seeing. And then it's possible, I'm just going to delete that for a minute. It's possible that like this was your A correction. This is your B correction, and we're now coming into C. And again, it could break a little higher than this. I don't think it will, but it could. And then we'll start breaking back down. So you'll just have to keep your eye on, how high this goes. And if this, as I was showing you in the prior frame, if this trend line holds, then I would assume that's going to be your breakdown and the beginning of the next alt season. And then I can draw in this corrective phase that we've been in now for a few months. I mean, since the middle of May. So June, July, August, September, October. I mean, 5 months of sideways chop. And, if you're in altcoins, you're sitting here going, come on, man, I thought this was the beginning of the boom. And the prior one, again, just going back real quick, the prior one lasted 143 days, the prior correction. So, 30 days in a month, that's approaching 5 months, believe it or not. So like 150 days would be about 5 months. And this one was slightly under. So we're right in line. We're in that sweet spot where I think it's just long enough that people might capitulate on their alts, thinking like, oh, this is over and Bitcoin's going to just do Bitcoin things. And, when I draw this in the coming weeks, we'll see this one looks like it's going to be a little bit longer than the prior 2017 correction. So we're coming up to about 5 months. But I think that'll probably be it. And then we'll roll over and it's go time for altcoins. And then again, just sort of reminding you what I just drew right now. Um, it's something like this. I mean, I can't tell you exactly where this is going to end up, but I think it's going to be some type of correction, into this range between the 38.2 fib and the zero point 0.5. Remember, 0.5 is not a fib level, but it's used a lot by traders. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got up there, kind of scared people out. But maybe this is it, and we just get up to around the 38.2, which we're almost at it. I mean, we're very close. And then from there, you've got a pattern where we've gone kind of sideways. This is that sideways chop that everybody hates. But then the next pattern will begin. So that's what we're trying to focus on. And like I said, we have question marks because we don't know exactly where this is going to end. Where we would be wrong is if we break above this 50 level and it just starts going. I would say that's going to be a signal that the entire market's broken. If you start seeing Bitcoin dominance on the rise here. But most likely we'll see a move down going into November. That's my base case. And, we'll just have to wait and see what happens based off of, where the global markets go. If you start seeing a sell-off in the global markets, then I think Bitcoin goes with it. If we continue to have, relatively easy monetary policy and everything's continuing to be printed to Timbuktu, then I think, crypto and risk assets continue to be green light. So, that's going to be, we're getting there. I mean, just be patient. If you're in alts and you like them and you're comfortable with the volatility, I think your moment's coming. And don't forget, I mean, what you're waiting for is this, this huge move down is what you're waiting for. And assuming we get that, remember the levels are anywhere between what I call the womp womp. That range is going to be on Bitcoin dominance right below 40 down to 35. So that would be like a weak sauce type of alt season. And then your mania alt season, which is where retail would really jump in and everything would be kind of crazy, that's going to be between 35 and like 28 and a half. And then anything underneath like 28 and a half is what I would call biblical. So that's where like, the floodgates are open and just everybody's jumping into crypto. And I want to remind you, why would you want to be in altcoins for this particular cycle? Okay. I am not telling you buy anything, but what I want you to understand is we're in sort of the innovation period of crypto. You're not going to see the types of moves in this asset class forever. Think back like when the internet started. I mean, for those of you that are older, do you remember when you had to dial in to the internet? You had like AOL, you would click the little button and it would be like, hello, you've got mail, And so if you remember from that, where you heard like the dialing, kind of like you would hear a fax machine sounding when you would dial it, to where we are now, where it's all like wireless and you can do it off your phone, and like the innovation that has come. But the big money was made in the mid to late 90s. And then you had like a massive crash. And that's unfortunately what I think is going to happen to altcoins in one of the next 1 or 2 cycles in the future, is everybody's going to start jumping into those thinking they can make so much money. And it's sort of like the NFT craze right now, where you can make so much money there, but then when the music stops, if you're the one left holding the bag, it's not going to be pretty. And so I think for now, this particular alt season could be biblical, because it may be the last time you see outsized types of returns. And then eventually, when a lot of those coins, no different than when like a lot of those internet stocks went to zero, or they went, way under, and then you had survivors like Amazon and Apple and so on. It's going to be something like that in the next one or two alt seasons. And then I think what you'll see is consolidation in the crypto industry into the projects that have use case and use value. So, your Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, like your top 10 type of projects. And a lot of the people that were in Dogecoin or Shiba Inu or whatever, they'll just start flowing money over there after they've taken, 50, 60, 90% losses. Now, I don't think that's going to happen this cycle, but I do think it's on the horizon in the next one or two cycles. So this is why I'm hoping this is going to be the biblical alt season that we've all been looking for, because there's a lot of action going into a lot of these projects, and they have a lot of like potential use case value today. But if you fast forward in a couple more years, they may end up just going under because there's no use case, or other, coins have absorbed whatever use case they had. So just be aware that we are coming to the point where there's going to be a move, either a breakout up or a breakdown. And hopefully it's down, and that would be the final alt season. Okay, on Ethereum, I have the 10-day moving average included because I want you to see where we are right now. We've actually tagged the 10-day perfectly. And, we were trading a bit above the 10-day, and you never typically get far beyond the 10-day average anywhere in the charts, other than when you have those waterfall moments, but it always comes back. And so right now we've got the same kind of thing going on. It's very similar type of moves. You've got now on Ethereum, we're actually testing this, what I would call to be the current most important go zone. Because if we break this line, then it's go time. And I think you'll see very quickly Ethereum getting back to the all-time high and then beginning to accelerate out. And that's what we're all looking for. And again, if Bitcoin goes sideways this week, I think you could see, again, we're testing it right now. So if we start seeing Bitcoin go sideways and alts start to pick up this week, then that would be very bullish. Now, it could reject, and then we'd have to come back down and try to get a breakout. And the rejection zone could take you all the way back to like around 3,000, 3,100 is where that fib level is coming in. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to break out here, and it's go time. That's why my rocket's right there. But if you're looking to enter Ethereum and you see a breakout of that trend line and you're not in, God bless you, because I think you're just gonna miss what's potentially coming in the next couple of weeks to months. And if we break down, then you have another opportunity probably in that zone there, around 3,400. There's a lot of action there. And then the next area would be down here. And I don't think we'll get there. Again, I don't think you'll ever see 2,600 again. That was the low here, 2,650. I don't think you'll ever see that again, in my opinion, not advice. But, if this is indeed the impulse wave 3, then we're just beginning this, and it's going to look like this kind of move. And remember, this impulse 1 was 134%. And again, the third impulse of any wave is usually the strongest impulse. So just again, give you an idea of what that would mean. As of right now, we're trading at about 42%, 43% up off of that low. And again, 134% would take us just to 6,200. So I know a lot of people are targeting 6,200, and that's why I said I think people are watching some of my videos and using that data, which is fine. We're a community, it's all good. But assuming that we break this line to the upside, that's your go zone. And again, like if you're not in, the only opportunity you're going to have is a retest of that zone coming in around like 3,800. So assuming we break out and then we get a retest, that's your entry point if we hold it and go higher. But if we typically with crypto, if we just break out and we never look back, like that was your best opportunity to enter. So, if you're looking at Ethereum, this is a really critical point, because if we reject down, we'll get another opportunity to reload. But if we don't, like, this is it. I mean, this could break out this week, and then, if you're not in, you're not going to be a happy camper, because you'll probably never be able to look back and get in at those levels. So remember, for those people that are like, well, on technical analysis, you want to see a breakout and then a retest and then a resumption. Well, if you don't get that, then this would be your entry point, and just put a tight stop underneath it. Like maybe this fib at the 78.6, 3,585. Or if you're a little more adventurous, put it down here at 3,000 and change, but I don't think it's correct to say like you can't take a breakout unless there's a retest and resumption, because in crypto, like if this was your breakout, I mean, where's the retest? Like right here, that's a retest of down all that. No, I don't think so. So, that's why I say, if you like an asset and you are looking at it as a position trader and you have a tight stop loss underneath it, then I don't think there's any problem taking a breakout, assuming that you've got a tight stop underneath it in case things are wrong. But if the retest never comes, then what are you going to do? Like, you're going to be buying all the way up and chasing price. And there's so many people right now that are like, oh, I'm just going to wait till it goes back down. Nah, bro, you're not going to get it. Like, it's not going to happen. And then, now you're chasing price all the way up. So again, Subwave 3 has hopefully begun. We're right at, this morning we tested the 10-day. So again, like, just follow the 10-day. And if that might be where you get your stank bids. And again, if we're wrong, then just put in a tight stop slightly underneath the existing price. Could be all the way down here. So like 3,000 to 3,500. That's basically like a 10 to 20% move, which can happen pretty easily in Ethereum. But we are testing this most important go zone line, and if we get it, then that's your breakout. All right, I think I've beat that pretty good. RSI. So RSI on Ethereum is actually weaker than Bitcoin. So that means there's more upside to come. And if you think about how the alt season works, normally Bitcoin runs first. I believe the Twitter handle that you want to look at is Secrets of Crypto. I actually saw this on one of the largest YouTube sites not too long ago, so it definitely made the rounds. But the way that the seasons work, Bitcoin's first, Ethereum is second, so that would make sense because RSI on Bitcoin's already a little high. Ethereum's is not. And then altcoins would be a little bit later. So, I would expect if there's volatility in Bitcoin this week, you would see some money flowing into alts. And then I would assume, maybe next week, Bitcoin resumes higher and we continue the impulse of wave 3. But everything looks fine. There's a very clear trend line you can see like that. So it looks pretty good. And I think we could see, again, a shoot up before we get a sort of like consolidation. And then again, on levels for Ethereum, we got kind of the same as Bitcoin. Again, this yellow is your retracement from cycle wave 4 back to 3. This purple is your trend fib extension. So again, it's from the bottom of 4 to the top of 1 to this is cycle wave 4 to the impulse 1 to the corrective 2. And then this white, and there's some dotted white there, that's the retrace from 2 to 1. So all these are your levels. Again, my base is somewhere in here for cycle subwave 3 of cycle 5, maybe somewhere between 8 and 10. It's been weak so far. We haven't really seen a big move in Ethereum, so maybe that's coming next. We'll just have to wait and see, how this all begins to play out for Ethereum. But so far, I think we're just in the beginning of this move. And then on the monthly, same thing. Again, know your channels, know your levels. We're in this sort of tighter channel still. And hopefully, again, we broke out from that COVID low and we're in the major channel. And we've held that red area. So assuming that we're going to get the move, we're going to start getting that move up, I would say the next area is going to be between like 8 and 10,000. If you start seeing candles like this, I mean, it'll happen real quick. So again, don't be surprised if you see some big moves in Ethereum in the coming, weeks to months. And then lastly, I know there's a lot going on here, but I'm actually going to redraw this live because I wanted everyone to see, where we're thinking the market might go next. So this is the S&P 500, and I'm going to take a few things out. So the trade that we had from a while ago, I'm going to take that out. And I'm going to take all of these lines out because they've repaired. And I'm going to draw this a little bit different. So I'm going to move these over because what I've noticed, this is very interesting, is from this top down to this bottom. So this is a very clear building triangle pattern. And I'll show you why. But what we don't know yet is how low is this going to go. So I'm going to take this trend line out. Now remember, originally I had the A, B, and I said C is probably going to be lower over here. Well, believe it or not, if all of this was your A, B, C, and now, okay, I know I'm going to complicate this, but stay with me. Let's assume this is your A wave. So even though you had, these are like minor waves inside of a more major. So let's say that's your A and that's your B and this is your C. Well, then B is actually here. Okay. That's why I said C is probably lower and we have to move it over here. And that'll finish the primary wave 4. Now, if you do that, now we can start drawing new trend lines and we can say, sorry, I drew that one off. Hold on one second. No, that's right. Okay. So if we do that, now we can draw some new trend lines and say, all right, what if we add something like that and change this to yellow because we're not breaking out yet. And then on this side, what if you started drawing more of a triangle coming in, maybe somewhere off of here, going up. And so this would be a go zone, assuming that we hold. So like if you're day trading, and I don't do that, but if you were, you might say, all right, we're going to have an E wave here, and then eventually we're going to break out or down. So I know there's a lot going on, and let me just refresh you here. So this line right here and this line down here, this is a channel that we've been in forever. I mean, since COVID, basically. Now, I'm not going to show it today, but I just want you to see that if we focus, I'm just going to take all these lines out for a minute so you can get an idea of what I'm showing you, and I'll bring them back. Okay, so do you see the triangle now? So we've got this wave, this trend line coming down, and you've got this trend line coming up. And you've got, this was your primary wave top. This was your ABC. And again, this is your intermediate A, intermediate B, and this is going to be an intermediate C, I think. So if we get a bounce down this week, I mean, this should be happening this week, in my opinion. Otherwise, these trend line triangles are broken. But it looks pretty clear to me that this is going to be the pattern. And then here's the question. If this is your C, do we break out from here, I personally think we're going to break down temporarily. And then you'll probably have the what we call the plunge patrol team over at the Federal Reserve. They'll come in and, rescue the day. But taking these fibs back for a minute, so let me just bring everything back in. So if you draw from this primary 3 back down to the primary 2, this was like a really weak retrace of we didn't even tag the 23.6. I had this drawn off of a incorrect trend line, so I apologize for that originally. You'll have to go back and look, but I redrew them, and we actually didn't even get back down to the primary wave 2 to 3. We haven't even retraced yet 23.6, and normally you retrace more than that. So I would say, the C wave will probably bring us back underneath this low, this swing low. And then hopefully, we'll get some plunge patrol action. But if that's it, then like if we break out this week from that trend line, then I would say, this is invalidated. But I think it looks pretty solid, so I would, keep your eye on the S&P because it's going to get interesting here. And again, like the infrastructure's coming. You've got a couple of other, the Fed, I think they meet, I don't know, November 2nd. So it would seem to me, and I'm not I'm not an expert, but, November 2nd is right over here. It would seem to me like the market would sell down to that day, and then they'll come in and say, oh, we're not going to raise rates, or we're not going to do any more whatever. And then you'll hopefully see the markets recover from there. So it still wouldn't surprise me if we got back down into the 4,000 range. That's where this 38.2 fib is. I know that that's a decent sell-off, but I don't think it's something you should trade because this could go the other way real quick. I mean, that would be about a 10% move from where we are now. But I just don't think it's going to last very long. And then again, if this is only primary wave 4, there's still one more wave to go. And again, that would correlate with Bitcoin being in its 5th wave. So I think the markets are all lining up to have another significant move in the same direction. And don't forget, Bitcoin was not immune to when COVID hit. We had a massive drop, but it recovered faster than the market because it's a more volatile asset, both to the upside and the downside. So in my opinion, not advice, I think we're trying to find the bottom of wave 3. Corrective wave C. So again, if this is now A, which was over here, this is B, and then we're going to find C somewhere, I think, between these levels. That would be more traditional in the Elliott wave world. And then out of that, we'll have hopefully a rebound into the final primary wave of this entire run out of the COVID low. And then, there's a lot of action news-wise, especially on Twitter, especially in the crypto world, which I don't understand, but where they're all saying, oh, this is like the end of all down waves in in Bitcoin, and nothing's ever going to go down again, and it's just going to be up and up and up. I actually think next year, based on some of my other data that I've had for years, is probably going to be a difficult year for all asset classes. Maybe not gold and silver, but maybe everything else. And so this is all lining up, in my opinion, to crescendo somewhere in the next 3 to 9 months. And as don't forget, we have the major news of next year. We have a potential change in Federal Reserve leadership. I'm going to do an entire thing on that in the future. And we have the midterm elections in the United States. Those are the two major events for the United States next year. and that will determine the direction, in my opinion, of the entire global markets, whether it's crypto or other, stock markets or whatever. So let's see where this week takes us, and we'll figure out if the C wave is going to end up being over here somewhere, probably again around November 2nd. So let's put it over right in there, and the primary wave 4 will probably end up in there too. And so just stay tuned, but I don't think this is over yet for this this triangle that we have built here. All right, conclusions. Hopefully more of a sideways week for Bitcoin. Let altcoins catch up. I think the stock market is going to triangle out here over the coming weeks as we go into that November. I think it's November 2nd. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the next meeting that they're having. And then we'll just have to wait and see what other major news comes out of the crypto markets. We've got the ETF coming out. I guess it's trading tomorrow. So hopefully we'll continue just to see positive news flow in crypto while the other markets go more sideways. And on Wednesday, we will be talking in depth about our targets going into the end. Remember, I've said it so much, 61,500 on a historical basis. That would be the fib level where we typically see massive moves up in Bitcoin. And so this is like liftoff. And if we get a bit of a correction this week below 61.5, then that's probably your last shot over the next week or two to get into Bitcoin before we get the real big moves that begin going vertical and never looking back. Again, subwave 3 of 5 is relentless. It's going to be a pretty significant happening in the crypto universe. And so on Wednesday, we'll talk about that. And then on Friday, we'll talk more about altcoins again, go into a few more charts. I'm working on them, but they take time. I want to make sure the material is strong. I'll see you on Twitter, and I'll see you in the comment sections. And if there's anything you'd like us to add to the charts, feel free to leave that either in the comments or DM or tweet me. So hope you have a great week. Try to sit on your hands this week and not trade too much. I don't think there's a lot of action really to take this week. If we get back into the all-time high and then, we come back down maybe. But, just if you're in, sit on your hands. And if you're not, a break of the all-time high would, catapult us. But 61,500 is my zone. If you see us beginning to move dramatically out of 61.5, I think, not advice, I think, I would be getting in if it was me. And if you see us kind of trending between 61.5 and maybe this fib down here at 57.2, I think that's going to be sort of the next range if we don't go up this week. But in my opinion, this is not over. And so I hope that this material is helpful. If it is, share it with your friends, retweet, subscribe. We're really trying to get to our first goal so we can make some more activities for you. And I hope everybody has a great week. This is Captain Crypto signing off. Be safe out there. Thank you. And we're going to continue to change lives one block at a time.